Terry Spoletti, this is not the Bob Reese Show. This is the Bob and Fred Show. I'm not trying to be a huckster out here, just trying to sell T-shirts, okay, and some books. So anyway, because Fred told me all about your comment. And by the way, the chat room is open, so if you want to chat anything, we'll try to respond to your questions. All right, we got a pretty good show lined up for you. We're going to talk about NASA today and the X-59. We're going to talk a little bit about Fred's nightmare last night, and then we're gonna talk about some other stuff like the United Airlines, how that was handled with his Mayday call, and then we're going to talk about British Airways having to get 20 people off their plane just the other day, and that had to do with temperature. How about that? So, Fred, what do you got?
Well, for my little monologue, I had this epiphany in the middle of the night. And it goes back to when we were all born, how we all started. You know, we weren't born with headsets on, and for all the curves in life, various people we've come across may have guided us to try and experience new things and learn. I know for me, I was fortunate in getting involved in the Apollo program at an early age. And when I started looking around as that program started to die, it was just the right timing for air traffic control. And I was able to get in. But I also thought about various people in my life that helped me try new things. I know my grandfather showed me various things as I grew up. I didn't have anyone to show me air traffic control, but I was fortunate that the job was just opening up when I was looking for a new direction. Whereas Rob did come across his uncle. You think about the people that have been in your life, and there aren't that many, but you think about those people that helped you develop to where you are today. I know as I trained people up in Oklahoma City, I think I made an influence on them. And maybe it was not as formal, because I tended to be less of a formal type instructor, and I'm less of a formal type person.
I can attest to that, and anybody that knows Fred knows that Fred is not formal at all.
I never colored inside the lines. But it also got me the great opportunities that I had to go further. I remember growing up and figuring out how to go out on a date with $5. And I've been able to acquire a lot more than that by now, but it took a lot of work. I think if everybody listening in can think about where they started, how things were in elementary school, junior high, and high school, and those curves that they came up on and decided to try more. I mean, if Bob didn't get the right influence, he'd still be making bagels someplace.
Probably not. I might be making license plates.
Okay, yeah. So it was something I wanted to talk about. And just think of those names of individuals that helped you. And actually, I've had three that when I thought of this whole thing, I called them. And I told them, you know, they owe me because I influenced their lives, young people coming up. And if they didn't get the exposure to me and my background, where would they be today? So that it's the band of brothers, from soldiers to controllers to pilots to police officers. These are people that experience things in a special field that no one can imagine because we were there together. And it's always been something that you can discuss. When a bunch of controllers used to get done with a 3 to 11 shift, it was like a bunch of you know,
Keep it close, Fred.
you know, it's like a bunch of, I want to say terrorists, but
No, not
it
terrible.
wasn't terror.
We were able to
Anyways,
relieve our stress and,
yeah, we would hit the bars and take them over.
sometimes bars, or some people would go, I would go work out. I like to work out, that relieved my stress, and, there were other people that did fishing
We
or,
had bowling.
but if it was an immediate, request for, decompression, we probably went to, here in Houston, M&J's.
Right.
That was right there at the end of the runway on Greens Road. It's no longer there. Or there was also the Hog's Breath, but I never went to the Hog's Breath Saloon after
No.
work. So
But these were special places that we all experienced, and it's where you gained your friendships, gained your learning, talked about what went on the night before, and maybe somebody gave you some input how to do it differently next time.
how about you guys out there? Anybody out there? Why don't you let us know how you guys handled your stress and what your camaraderie was like at your facility? I know up in Chicago, when I was up there was a place called the Little Red Schoolhouse. We'd kind of go there after work. That was in North Aurora. And then we also had a bowling team that on Wednesday nights, ours were Harley Davidson, and I had Rod Carver on my team. I had Bobby Gross. His name was Two Dogs. Bobby was of Indian descent, and myself. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the other people on my team. Isn't that sad? Wow, that was so long ago. But you know, the bowling was a good thing, and what got me interested in that was my supervisor, Leroy Halley. I don't know if he's still out there. Leroy was a bowler, and he also owned a dry cleaner in North Aurora. Leroy was a strong dude. He had picked up one of the controller chairs by the leg, one hand, and just lifted it straight up and kept the chair level. I had no idea how he did that. I tried so many times. I took the controller chair out to the break room and I was trying to do that. I don't know. He was definitely very strong. We also had a group of people that played cards. We had a floating card game that would go around up in Chicago, and that was great camaraderie. It lasted all night and then sometime into the morning. And whoever was hosting would provide all the food and whatever. But it was a lot of fun. So. I'd love to hear how you guys decompressed, especially nowadays. I know there's a lot of younger controllers out there. Fred was telling me a lot of them, they don't do anything. They just go to work and go straight home. You got to do something. Don't you get along with your teammates, with your crews? Right, Fred?
Yeah, we used to get together on the weekends for a picnic, for a barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any that do that now. Maybe with their family. But back then, the controllers were each other's family. And once in a while, we would bring in some pilots. You know, we always had to have a token pilot in there. And then the conversations really got crazy. I remember being at my house, everybody sitting in the den talking, and Concorde was just going to start to fly into New York. And my girlfriend sat and says, I think Concorde's a piece of crap. You could have heard the silence in that room. I made sure I got her out of there and told, excuse me, if you're not going to say anything good, don't say anything.
Fred?
Yes.
That cannot be your mantra. That is not Fred.
Well, I mean,
Fred?
I'm still.
Oh, there we go.
holding-
We're off to the. Okay.
I'm still holding back on our bowling league and everything else.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways,
Hey, I want to give a
On top
shout
of
out to my
things.
friend at Capital Glass. He's doing our windows here at the house. He does a great job, and he supports the channel. He's also my sound guy when we do our sound, when we go out and about. He's a great person, Wesley Reese, and I've known him since 2008 when I retired and started to get into the movie business. Good guy. If you ever need a window in your house, or if you have a business and you need windows, check out Capital Glass. They can definitely install some good stuff for you. let's move on. What do you think, Fred?
Yeah, you want to talk about your time in France at all, or?
Oh my goodness. I can't, I'm under an NDA, so I can't talk about what I did in France, but I can tell you about my travel in France now that I'm finally back to planet Earth. The flight out, I left at 4 o'clock here, Houston time, and I got to Dulles, United Airlines. I got off at gate 19, and my gate for departure at Dulles was C-23. So I left C-19 and I walked over to C-23. It was, just less than 5-minute walk. Took my time. I got there. I'm standing around, and boom, they changed my gate to B-21. Holy cow! The race was on because I only had about 8 minutes to get to my flight. So I had to race down to find the B. Concourse, which you go down, you got to make a right in the terminal from the gate that I was at. Then you got to take the escalator down, and then there's this long passage that the walkway was not working, and I had to beat feet to get down to B. Then you go back upstairs, and then I finally made it over to B and got on the plane. Just before they closed the doors, announcement comes over, hey, here's your pilot. We're going to have a 15-minute delay. Okay, 15 minutes. What's 15 minutes? Sitting there. Then 10 minutes later, oh, we're going to have another 15-minute delay. Oh, what's another 15 minutes? I got time. And they go, just about the 15-minute mark, they turn the PA on and, well, folks, we're going to have to deplane because there is a part that has to be replaced, and they're going to have to test it. It's going to take about an hour to replace the part, and then it's going to take about an hour to 2 hours to test the part. So I'm thinking to myself, oh no, this flight is not going. The crew is going to time out, and I'm going to be stuck here in Washington, D.C. I wouldn't have minded because my daughter lives in Washington, D.C., but this weekend she was in Japan. So there was no reason for me to try to find her. So immediately I'm getting on my phone and I'm looking for flights going to Charles de Gaulle for the next day so that I can find an early flight to get out because I know that this flight's going to cancel. So I'm sitting there in the waiting area after we all deplaned. I've got my iPad my iPhone ready to punch in for my next flight. And the first flight out would be out of Dulles to go to O'Hare, and then from O'Hare to Charles de Gaulle. And that would get me there at 9:40 the next day, 9:40 in the morning the next day. So I select that one. I call my the team that I was going to meet because my job over there was going to be sound engineer on a documentary. I can tell you that much. And then they make the announcement that the flight is canceled. I hit it, change my flight. I go up to the front. They give me a voucher to get something to eat and then to stay the night at I think it was the Marriott, and an Uber. They pay for my Uber. So off to with the Uber to the Marriott. I get there and I'm thinking, why did I even do this? Because I got to get back up again in about 5 hours. Fortunately, put my head down, alarm went off, back out to the airport, got on the flight, and that was no problem. They got me right to Charles de Gaulle, but unfortunately, I had to do about a 14 to 16 hour day to catch up with all the scripting that we had to do with the team because I was the only one that could do the audio over there. And then fortunately, we did make progress, and we got to the point where they were able to take me out to the Moulin Rouge and have a good time. So that was fun. Back in Houston, coming back, I know better, but my flight was connecting through Newark, and guess what? Got into Newark on time. 6 hour delay at Newark to get out. I didn't get home till 5 a.m. the next day. That was no fun. That was a heck of a flight. And I got to tell you, traveling is difficult. Okay, definitely. I even had passes to the United Club. I got in there, and the place was packed. Wall-to-wall people. And I felt bad for the people behind the counters. They were doing such a good job, but there's a lot of people that don't understand that they are not in charge. They're the delivery, they're not the the people that are making the decisions. And besides, if your plane isn't working and they're keeping you on the ground, it's better that you're on the ground than in the air. So, anyway, let's move on. Fred, what do you think?
Oh, hearing your story, I remember going through Memphis at one point and had a nice break in time making my connection. Probably about 100 miles outside of Memphis, all of a sudden we go into a holding pattern. Okay, but I still got enough time. And now I'm sitting in the cockpit listening, and we're in the holding pattern. All of a sudden I notice something out of the corner of my eye, and I look, and here comes a 727 just coming down at the altitude we're at,
Oh my
and
goodness.
we kind of waved at each other. So we had just had a little systems error, but I don't know if it was the controller or the pilot that made the error. Anyways, here we go. We're alive and we land, but I've got like 30 gates to run to get to my connection now. All that time is gone, and I get to the gate as I see the door, starting to close, and I yell, wait, I'm here, right, and she lets it close. And she said, oh, you're going to have to wait for the next flight. And I said, well, it's never over till the fat lady sings. And damn if I didn't turn around and she weighed 250
Oh my goodness,
pounds.
Fred. Well, good thing Yogi. Were you in New York?
Now, this was in Memphis making a
Oh,
connection.
Memphis. So she probably didn't understand that term.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she did. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean to offend, but timing was really bad.
Yeah.
Yes. Delays in life.
So
Yes.
that's kind of our delay story, and it's one thing we got to really remember is try to keep a cool head if you can, and do have a little bit of respect for the people behind the counter. They have a hard job. In fact, I read somewhere that they're like the number one or number two stressed out job, right behind waitress and waiter, because they have no control over what happens between the aircraft boarding and the passenger giving them hell.
So you're saying that those folks have more stress than a controller or a
At
cop
times
or a
they do.
cop?
And you imagine what it's like if you got 300 people looking at you, waiting to get on, and you're by yourself, and you've got this keyboard, and everybody's delayed, and then all of a sudden you've got to find all these people another flight, a hotel, get snacks. I don't know, Fred. That's got to be. I'm sure that gets your stomach up and locked. I'm not saying that it's the stress of having aircraft come together, but it is definitely stressful. And a waiter and waitress, think about them. They have no ability to make the dish, prepare the order. It's all up to the cook, right? So, and there, who catches hell when it's not right? The waiter or the waitress. Now, if they're a good waiter or waitress, they're nice. You be nice to them, and life is good. Besides, they're serving you food. It's a good idea to be nice to them, right?
Extra flavor is added.
So that's about it. Anyway, let's kind of move on. We definitely want to make sure that we get this information out there, that we have these booklets if you want. They go for $6, and we're selling these shirts. These shirts are amazing, and in a couple of weeks we'll be able to put your name on it if you want, the center or Tracon or tower that you worked at, and what your title or position was out there. So look for that later. Working on this dye sublimation machine, and eventually I will get it working. So anyway, Fred was talking earlier about influencing people, and with the need for air traffic controllers out there, they're going to be hiring anywhere from 6,000 to 9,000 people this year, if I remember right. When you're talking or you meet people out there that are sharp, you think they're on the ball, you meet them a couple of times and they're really with it, they're young, they're looking for a career, you can kind of see they're stuck, I don't want to say a Mick job, but they're kind of in a position that, advancement can only go so far, maybe supervisor over grocery bagging, So there might not be there because of their own accord. tell them about air traffic control. See if they're interested. I was out the other night, Intercontinental, and I was taking some video for the channel. I'm going to put some new introduction video on for the stories. And a young lady came up. Lights are on because this was at night, and she's out there. She wanted to see the Airbus 380 go up. That was her plane, and it's going to go off. So she goes running down, and it was kind of cool because way behind me was clouds and lightning going off, and I'm thinking, man, this is not going to go off within 20 miles. They're going to delay these aircraft, but they were flogging them off the south outs. So when she came back, she said hi to me, and she asked me what I was doing, and I told her about the channel, and I mentioned that I was an air traffic controller, and she goes, wow, I'm interested in that. How do you do that? So I told her, and we were talking for a little bit, and I was kind of, vetting her out. She seemed very nice, very bright, and I know that she's going to be getting the book. I know she's going to be watching for the announcement, and hopefully she's going to make it. So I asked her to send me a post to say hi, that she got that information, and there was another couple there. I talked to them about it also. So wherever you go, you meet somebody sharp, let them know that this opportunity exists for them. I'm sure you do. I mean, Jim Burnett, he got, I think it was Chris Paris. Chris Paris into air traffic control. And correct me if I'm wrong. If you're out there, Chris, let me know. And I know Jim got a lot of people in that way. So, but let's move on. Let's move on to some pretty cool stuff. We're going to talk about NASA and they're testing the new supersonic aircraft. It's got the ability to fly supersonic over the United States and not have a sonic boom. We talked about last week. What was the name of that aircraft? The boom.
X-20. Oh, the company is Boom.
Boom, yeah, the Boom company.
Yeah.
Now this company is NASA. Their X-59 is a quiet supersonic research aircraft, and they're doing taxi tests on it. And this is like the inaugural movement of this aircraft under its own power. Okay, it's kind of a takeoff onto Concorde, and the X-29 team is comprising of NASA and Lockheed Martin personnel. They conduct the inaugural low-speed taxi test at Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California. Boy, that must be nice out there, huh? The phase signifies a final ground test sequencing preceding the maiden flight. So this is the aircraft. You see it up there on the scope, and on the scope, on the TV. Looks pretty cool. Almost looks like a computer, the old computer geometric drawings that they used to have before we had rounding on them. These are necessary trials so that taxiing of this aircraft can be done in a safe and orderly fashion. Okay. What they're going to do with this is check out if their supersonic boom causes the same disruption that the Concorde did as far as the sonic boom. Okay, they want to make sure that the restriction level impacted by business case for the aircraft over Los Angeles and New York is not invasive to anybody. They certainly don't want any broken windows on any of those high rises, and you certainly don't want cows out there giving you cheese when they go to milk them, right, from the sonic booms. So the technology appears to be effective, and supersonic aircraft travels each leading edge generation in shock rate, resulting in a sonic boom. NASA technology has modified the aircraft design that enables the shock wave to interact and cancel each other out as they move away from the aircraft during flight. So that's kind of cool. They figured out a way. I guess that's kind of like noise suppression in your, when they can't, noise cancellation. When you have noise in the background, there's a chip in there that directly reverses the sound, so it cancels each other out. Cool idea. I don't know how you get a leading edge to do that simultaneously when everything's going in the same direction, but that's pretty neat. This aircraft is supposed to be able to get to a speed of Mach 1.5. Now, that is fast. At sea level, that would be 990 miles an hour. Uh, That'd be New York to London is normally 7 to 8 hours, and this is going to take 3 hours and 44 minutes at that speed. Man, cool.
Also something that's in development is Jet Zero with a blended wing, and we've
From
been in
last week?
touch with them, trying to see their production
The
plant.
boom?
They're actually building
From last week?
the aircraft in Greensboro, North Carolina. The design is very revolutionary, and anyone interested should look up Jet Zero. It will hold about 250 to 300 people. Again, it will go faster than the other traffic that's out there now. And again, controllers will have to learn how to blend that, plus the supersonic traffic coming in and blending that. So the skies are getting more crowded, and Boeing hasn't slowed down on delivering airplanes and new designs. What Wilbur and Orville remembered with two little cloth wings, they've come a long way from cloth, and the speeds and distance has really improved.
So it's been an incredible leap of technology from Orville and Wilbur. And fortunately, a lot of us have been around. Well, for me, I remember the L-188s flying the New York East Coast route, New York to Boston or New York to Washington, D.C. I've actually flown on the L-188. I've flown on a DC-3 from Boston up to Presque Isle, Maine. I was in a jumpsuit because I was a controller up at Loring Air Force Base, so I got kind of a neat view of a DC-3 in the cockpit. So commuter air, I think. I can't even remember the name of the airline that was up there. But anyway, it was kind of a neat experience, and now watching all of these fast aircraft develop. And like Fred said, the sky's getting crowded. Although these aircraft, I believe, are going to operate at altitudes above 40,000, 45,000. So that'll be well above some of the tops of the weather. Now, if you got weather up at 45,000 and above, that is a strong storm. So, and that would be very rare to have anything up that high, I believe, any tops up that high. So they could probably have these corridors, east-west corridors, that run these little bullet aircraft back and forth that minimize any kind of confliction other than coming down through the altitudes to land or depart, going back up. So
I know I was always very excited when we had new aircraft coming into the system. I remember when the first 747s flew, and Pan American was the first customer. And the first 747 flight came into Kennedy, and I wanted to see it. And I couldn't see it. So I'm driving all around, and now I'm driving down by the hangars, nothing there. But I come around one corner, and here the doors to the hangar are closed, but there's a hole in the side of the doors, and sticking out of it is the tail of that 747. I found it, yeah.
So you got to see the back end of it, 747 for the first time.
Yeah, and they're just, well, they're still building a few 747s in the Dash 8 model. They're freighters, and
okay.
The new Air Force One will be a 747-8. That'll be beautiful when it rolls out.
I'm sure it will. So, these aircraft are typically, they're equipped with turbofan engines, and they can operate at speeds from 400 to 620 miles an hour. And the military aircraft, they have turbojet engines, and they can get up to 1,500 miles an hour in certain instances. But when they go that fast, there's a downside. That's an increased consumption of fuel. The Concorde was able to reach speeds of 1,300 miles an hour, and it would consume 46.85 pounds of fuel per mile. That's a lot. That's a lot of fuel. and it had a seating capacity of only 100. So you've got this tube going along at 1,300 miles an hour, and you only got 100 passengers. And by the way, every seat in the Concorde was first class. So that was kind of cool. And Boeing's aircraft, their new 787 Dreamliner, has a cruise speed of 648, and it only utilizes 18.7 pounds of fuel per mile. So that's a significant difference with these new engines. And I don't know what the X-59 is going to have as far as engine and or fuel consumption, but I'm sure they're going to work on lowering and being more efficient on fuel, and B, the alternate type of fuel. And I know the SR-71 at 17% power at 70,000 feet is doing better than Mach 2. That's 17% power. And the reason for that, there's no oxygen up there, so the aircraft can only attain about 17% power. And those little cones on the front of the nacelles of those engines, those are dynamic. They move in and out with this. We're losing the picture there. Well, they move in and out with the speed of the aircraft to help with the compression factor in that turbojet engine. You know.
Yeah.
So
Concorde was very fuel critical. Once you cleared that aircraft to go supersonic, and again, when they first took off, they were subsonic, but when they got off the coast, you could clear them to go supersonic. But if you had to cancel the supersonic clearance, they had to go back and refuel.
well,
And,
that I didn't know. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
and the aircraft never really leveled off. You cleared them to go supersonic from about 35 to 40,000 feet, and then he would climb slowly up to about 50 to 55. And as he got to that, it was time for him to start down for Europe.
Wow.
But if he had to stop, he had to go back and refuel.
Wow.
It was fascinating one day when we cleared him to go supersonic, but there was a discrepancy in the warning areas. And we were showing the warning area off the coast as free. As he's climbing out and going supersonic, all of a sudden two F-15s join formation around him. We had an international incident. Concorde had to go back and refuel, and we had to get our warning areas right. Also coming in from Europe, he needed to check the weather status and conditions at the airport, because if there were any kind of weather or runway problems, he would have to land in Canada and refuel.
Wow.
And the newer aircraft won't have that much of a consumption rate. And again, this Jet Zero is going to have 50% of what your 787 has now. So they'll save a lot of fuel and go
Wow.
faster.
That is amazing. So that's what we have for supersonic stuff. We're going to continue this discussion at another time when we'll follow along the X-59, and we'll follow along with the boom aircraft and other supersonic aircraft that could be coming along and traversing the United States and making our travel time shorter. So as long as there's no delays. Right. So we're going to talk about this United that had a Mayday call and about the handling of the Mayday call. So United Airlines pilot initiated a distress call following an engine failure on a 787. He was piloting shortly after takeoff from Dulles, bound for Munich on the 25th of July. And he cried out, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday." So Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Mayday is an emergency notification to air traffic control or anybody in the area that an aircraft is in distress, okay? They're not uncommon. They serve as a means for controllers to prioritize the handling of a flight. So when the pilot was repeating Mayday, 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 United Airlines confirmed that the flight needed to return to Dulles shortly after takeoff. He successfully landed with all the passengers got off the plane. There were no incidents, and the flight was, of course, canceled because of the engine problem. So now you know what the phrase Mayday means. According to John Cox, he's an aviation expert and, of course, retired commercial airline pilot. Uh, he was with Forbes magazine interview, and he was talking about the United incident, and he was talking about the protocol issuing a Mayday call. Air traffic controllers, that's us, are informed by the pilot of the priority and the need to relocate the aircraft from the aircraft in distress. Get everybody away from him, or whatever it is that aircraft needs that's in distress, we comply. We try to do the best we can. And there are certain regulations that we have to follow. Of course, we need to know how many people are on board, the nature of the emergency, what the pilot's intentions are, and what the pilot requests. We're there. We're like the, I would say, Encyclopedia Britannica, but now I guess we'd be the Google of air traffic control for the pilots that are in distress. Okay, that aircraft had 108 people on board. I'm sorry, had 219 people on board, and there were 11 crew members on that aircraft, and they were able to get back down on the ground safely and without incident. The other part of Mayday is pan, 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 okay? The pan, pan, when said 3 times, is a situation that is less critical than an emergency, okay? And right now, I know the FAA is trying to make sure pilots can delineate between pan, 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 and Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Because Mayday is an immediate, prioritized emergency. Pan, pan, pan is, like maybe blue ice is falling out of the restroom, and you don't want anybody to be behind this aircraft, or else they're going to get, well, you know what blue ice is, don't you? So on their aircraft.
That call sign should be poop, poop, poop.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's not as significant an emergency, or it's less critical than a true emergency. And, of course, the controllers did a great job with the United, and the United pilots did an outstanding job getting that single engine back on the ground. So there you have a little bit of information on what Mayday, Mayday, Mayday is, and pan, pan, pan. There you go. Any questions on any of that? Fred, you got anything else on that?
Is there anybody out there listening? Or?
Yeah, well, we have some people. I had asked if anybody out there would just send us a little shout out on the text box. I'd like to see if that worked. I see we have one person that sent us, and they told us the sound is good. I'm glad that we finally got our sound under control, and we almost have our camera under control. We only had one time so far that it went rogue on us. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's an AI camera, and I got to keep my hands down low, or else it'll initiate the camera to start moving around again, and then Malcolm has to make it behave correctly. So, and Malcolm is here today, doing a great job putting those great pictures up. We're going to talk about weight and temperature on aircraft. Out in London, at Florence's Vespucci Airport, okay, I've flown out of there, nice airport. British Airways had to take 20 people off the flight, and that was because of heat. And what heat does, it changes the density altitude. This was an Airways America ERJ 190, and the aircraft at those temperatures would not have been able to make the runway requirements, because the airport runway is only 5,118 feet, and it's a lot shorter than what they have at Gatwick, which is over 10,000 feet. So the aircraft had to remove 20 individuals to meet their density altitude requirements, which is really not uncommon. Back in the days of prop-driven aircraft, there we go, we're going rogue there. Back in the days of prop-driven aircraft, my stepfather, Ed Olson, he would fly from New York out to Singapore, and he would take the Clipper, the sea aircraft, out of either San Francisco or L.A., and they would hop, island to island, Guam or Hawaii, and and points westward. So depending on what the winds aloft were when they got to Hawaii, some people might have to stay a night or two for the next aircraft because of the weight restrictions and the distance requirements. So they would get the people off the aircraft. Now, I never looked at a ticket to see if that was one of the items that they put on there that could potentially happen. So I'm going to have to look into that. Does anybody out there know? I certainly don't want to be on an aircraft that's too heavy to take off because nobody's getting there. And I don't mind getting off an aircraft if I have to. And I'm sure those people were accommodated with maybe another round-trip ticket or first-class seating on the next aircraft, right? So if anybody would know about that, I would sure like to find out. We have 9 people out there watching us. Thank you so much. That's cool. What do you got, Fred? Anything else?
That's about it.
That's about it.
We've covered the changes in the system in the future and the expansion. If anyone has questions, please
Put the
send them
diamond
in.
ring
We understand the delays,
up.
and we need to find out more information about the training.
It should say diamond ring or nice
As
diamond.
much as the academy is gearing up to produce more controllers to get out there. Again, once these trainees leave the academy, it's a good minimum of 3 to 5 years to get them trained and certified in all the aspects of air traffic.
Hey, I see Jack Overfield just checked on. Says we look and sound great. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. Good to see you're watching. I don't know who else is out there. Jerry, you out there? Louisiana, you out there? Send us a little shout out. I do want to send another shout out to a friend of mine who has a jewelry store here in Houston. I do his commercials. And this is for Terry Spoletti. Maybe you could get one of these from Ken. This is Regal Jewelers. They have these beautiful rings. They can do custom-made rings. And Malcolm, do you have it on there?
I don't think so.
Tell Ken we can get him a discount.
Oh, they should, you'll find it. It was on the disc or the drive. Maybe I didn't put. Let me have that disc. I'll put it on there. But anyway, Regal Jewelers. I do commercials for him, and he's a really nice guy. He'll do anything you want, custom jewelry. And the big driver this year has been the birthstones. They are going like crazy. People are buying birthstones for their necklaces, earrings, bracelets. So that's my shout out to Regal Jewelers. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, yeah. What else you got, Fred?
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm done for the day.
Done for the day. Well, thank you all for participating and getting our show up there to the 171,000 subscribers. And we'd like to hear some of your stories. If you're out of town and you have a group of people that want to talk about ATC, we would love to hear it. And if you're a pilot, if any pilots out there that want to talk to us, we'd love to hear your interactions with air traffic control. That's always fun. We could do a little hangar flying. We could have you on with air traffic controllers and pilots. That always makes for an interesting combination. So we'd love to hear from you. So this has been a great ride for Fred and I. We really appreciate you guys. Continue to watch, and make sure when you watch the shows you give us a little thumbs up so that it's counted, and you let it play through to the end. That helps. We are still only 1/4 of the way to monetization, so it's difficult to keep the show going and to travel out of town without any real funds. Everything is coming out of our pocket, and we would really appreciate if you let those shows roll and share with your friends and subscribe, okay? So from me,
And Fred Shuffler.
Fred Shuffler, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you hopefully. Oh, wait a minute, next week I'm not going to be in town. Fred's not going to be. It's going to be Labor Day weekend. I'll be in Washington, D.C. I will try to do a podcast from my laptop out there, talking to Rodney Ship to try to get some retired controllers that are out in Washington, D.C. If they want to come on the channel, I wouldn't mind shooting the poop with them, so to speak. So if you're in Washington and you want to have a little talk with me and discussion about ATC, I'd love to talk with you. So just send me a shout out on my podcast, on the page, or send Fred. We both would love to hear from you. All right. So take care. Catch a tailwind, and y'all come back next week. You hear?
Have a good day.